Yes, on interference, we are going to take up this matter seriously with the EU Parliament. Reason being, foreign policy matters.
Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa atolooza tavuddemu omwasi agambye aba European Parliament mutugyeko akajanja mutwesonyiwe mwesonyiwe Africa mwesonyiwe ensi zaffe ez'abaddugavu muleke twesalirewo.
Preserve of the executive. Parliamentary diplomacy should be complementing. Okay? So the EU should be doing oversight on how the Parliamentary Commission is doing its job. But for Parliament to summon my ambassador, can you imagine? They had an audacity to summon Uganda's ambassador.
Tujjukire etteeka lino eryakayita oba ebbaga eryakayita erya Sovereignty Bill 2026 libadde lirimu nti nno ensi in fact liprotectinga obwetengereze bw'ensi. Kati kino Thomas Tayebwa avuddeyo n'agamba European Parliament mutwesonyiwe amawanga gaffe geetengeredde temulina lukusa temulina maanyi ago gatusamoninga gatuteekako kiba kuntumye ngaffe abadipendinga kummwe. Ulira abadde luddawa abadde Eswatini eyo mu East African Regional Parliamentary Group meeting eyo Eswatini munnange era nga ababaka babadde bagenze ku meeting ku nsonga ez'enjawulo. Tujjukire tuno ye ssentebe ow'omukago gwa African Parliament Parliamentary Group era ng'ono yatwala ye ssentebe w'omukago guno. Kati tujjukire mu February nga twakamala akalulu aka 2026 European Parliament sebo yavayo neeyita ambassador we Brussels mu Bubiligi mu Belgium ne mugamba je yannyonnyoleko mu European Parliament ng'era ekyali kimututeyo ki bwannyonnyole akalulu katambula katya bo balefuting ebyava mu kalulu nga bagamba tekali free and fair kyokka nga African Union sako ne European Union bava ne bagamba tina akalulu kali free and fair. Bino byaleetwawo bitya akalulu kano Bobi Wine nkugambye nga twakamala okulonda yeekweka oba yagenda n'atandika okulira ku nsiko. Kati kino yali konsaani mu bazungu era nga beetaaga omuntu agenda okunnyonnyola lwaki yetu Bobi Wine twali amugoba wuwe era Bobi Wine yavayo n'alifutinga ebyava mu kalulu era leekubira enduulu mu bazungu ng'agamba babeereko kye bakola.
We would also love to see this relationship happening between the people of Uganda and the European Union, not just General Museveni's illegitimate military regime. I'm still on the run. I'm still in hiding because of the continuing threats on my life since what happened on the 16th of January when my house was, my compound was raided and I fled my house. And also the following raid that happened on the 23rd of January where my wife was assaulted and my family members were assaulted and the military took over my home, which the military still occupies to the present day. My home is surrounded and the military is in charge of it now. What happened on the 15th of January and the preceding days was not an election. It was a military operation, and I'm very glad that it was clearly stated during the debate in the European Union Parliament. This violence started. I have presented some asks which I want to reiterate here. We've asked for targeted sanctions that target particular individuals and regime officials that have excelled in gross human rights violations. We believe that will curb their appetite in abusing, human rights, in undermining democracy, and to ensure that there's accountability for their crimes against humanity. Because I know we have other speakers on the platform, I want to appreciate you for the opportunity and to further call for more interest and for more attention to the people of Uganda. We really, really appreciate the attention, but we still request the international community to keep an eye on Uganda.
Thomas Tayebwa bino byagamba n'agamba ensi zino eza Africa bano bannamukago aba European Union amawanga gano ag'abazungu gabaleke baleme kweyingiza mu bitabakwatako ngayo kiri nti no n'amawanga gano aga Africa tegeyingiza mu by'abazungu no balina ebizibu ebibamala babaleke kubanga beetengedde balina okurespectinga sovereignty z'ensi zino obwetengereze bw'ensi zino. Era kino kyali kyetoolera nkugambye kyali kyetoolera mu election interference nga kalulu kano ojjukira kali criticized nnyo olw'okuba nti no bagamba tekali free and fair olw'okuba internet yagibwako abantu abamu baaganibwa okulonda kwegamba n'ebyalimu byali bingi naye era nga report eyava mu African Union yagamba nti nakulu kali free and fair. Kati wana I questioninga European Parliament negamba ejjawa nga yabuuza ejjawa obuyinza obusanctioning obuyita omukungu wa Uganda nga ne Uganda temanyi era ono jjukira teyagendayo kigambibwa nti no Thomas Tayebwa yamukubira essimu n'agamba togende kubanga tebakulinaako obuvunaanyizibwa. Already European Union yavayo negamba kali free and fair kati gojjawo dasitogamba nino tekali free and fair. Tayebwa nkugambye era avudde n'ategeeza nti wabeewo okussangamu ekitiibwa n'okussa ekitiibwa mu bwetengereze bw'ensi so buli olw'okuba waliwo ekikyankanye nti ensi endala yeeyingize mu nsi endala oba emikago gino gyeyingize mu affairs z'ensi agamba tekijja kusoboka era agamba summoning the ambassadors no. He braced the decision to summon Uganda's ambassador over internal election, calling the move not right and violation of the principles of the Samoa Agreement. Tayebwa has also recalled previous instances of meddling such as the European Parliament's effort to halt the East African crude oil pipeline, that is EACOP. We all remember that due to human rights and environmental concerns. Bobi Wine, he previously addressed the European Parliament to call for accountability and sanctions against Ugandan officials over alleged human rights violation. This is the video. Watch. Don't forget to turn the notification bell. If you have not yet subscribed, kindly do so that you don't miss content here. For God and my country, I leave you with this video.
Preserve of the executive. Parliamentary diplomacy should be complementing. Okay? So the EU should be doing oversight on how the Parliamentary Commission is doing its job. But for Parliament to summon my ambassador, can you imagine? They had an audacity to summon Uganda's ambassador. So the ambassador calling me, I'm being summoned in Brussels at the EU Parliament. I said, hell with them. You can't go. You know, you can't go. And she didn't go, and the meeting flopped. Because now they had gotten, and you know, when they were calling the meeting, I don't know, but these are issues which we shall strongly discuss with them. I saw they treated Tanzania. Today it might be Uganda, it might be Tanzania. Tomorrow it will be your country. And we must stand up and defend our integrity as Africans. If we are having issues among ourselves, we should sit in-house and we address our issues as a continent. We don't need big brother kind of syndrome approach to come from Brussels and say, no, we are the ones going to make a resolution. And it makes huge news. It affects our tourism. It affects our standing in a community. Some of the things they don't know. So this is what I'm going to take up at the high level of the leadership of the EU Parliament. And yes, and I'll be calling, I'm preparing a meeting with the regional presidents so that we can go to Brussels and we engage with these people. The way we don't interfere into their issues, they shouldn't be interfering in ours. Now,
what is very surprising, there are countries, when we were, the last meeting when we were in Brussels, the last meeting that we had, we discussed and agreed that one of the clauses in the Samoa Agreement, or most of the clauses in the Samoa Agreement, is that the independence of a state will be respected. The only issue is that to increase the relationship between Europe and Africa, or European Parliament, European states, and the member states of Africa. Now, recently, we had an example where we had the elections in Uganda. European Union were among the observers in Uganda, but after the elections, you realize, as European Union recommended and said, and they said Uganda had peaceful elections, they were fantastic. Few days later, we hear the European Parliament sitting to condemn Uganda, that elections were not free and fair, and there was a problem. And you see, this European Parliament has a history of meddling and interfering with the issues of Uganda. The other time, you remember, we had the oil story. The other time, we had the homosexuality issue. Now, this time, after elections, they sat and even summoned the ambassador, the Ugandan ambassador, to European countries, to Brussels. They summoned her for an interview. Look at the extent of a parliament summoning an ambassador. We wonder where they picked the guts and the audacity. Yet, in the Samoa Agreement, where Uganda even ratified, Uganda signed and ratified the agreement, one of the first states to ratify, meaning that they respected the Samoa Agreement, and it should be respected even by the European Parliament. One of the clauses in that Samoa Agreement is respect for international relations. Each country is independent. The way it runs its international relationship with the rest of the countries must be respected. 2, equally another clause of peace and security in that agreement of the Samoa Agreement is that countries are respected, and the peace in that country, security in that country, is promoted by the European Parliament, by the European Union, at the same time with the country that is concerned. Now, when you go ahead and begin meddling in the issues of an independent state, saying the elections were not, and you are a parliament of another state, yet you have a relationship, you have an agreement, you signed, and you say we shall respect your independence, we shall respect your sovereignty, we shall respect you, the way you do your things, and your international relationship will be respected. In case of anything, we shall agree and discuss. There is a forum how it must be discussed, not through a parliament of another state to summon an ambassador of another country or a parliament of another state to begin asking issues, yet they are on table. So that is why you had me asking the president that how can we trust the agreement we are signing? How can other member states of Africa trust this agreement, the Samoa Agreement, when there is an example of already an existing country called Uganda, which has already ratified the agreement, but a parliament of European Union is interfering with the affairs of an independent country called Uganda. So how will the rest of the countries also get the guts of signing and being sure that they are going to be respected, instead of taking advantage of that, again, more squeezing them?